All right, I think, should we go ahead and just get started?
Absolutely, I'm just very thankful you all are here and looking forward to lots of good work out.
All right, we are recording. Welcome to the University Hill Community or Commercial Management Commission meeting. This is it is March 4th, 2025, and I'm Paul Roll. Trent Bush.
Here.
Kel Jones.
Here.
Danica Powell. Here. Ted Rockwell.
Here.
Andrew Shoemaker.
Here.
I will now turn the meeting over to Chair Rockwell for procedural items.
Thank you. There's three procedural items. First one's the approval of the January 25 meeting minutes. You see that in our packet. Everyone should have had a chance to review it. Do I hear a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Trent, saw you. All right. Discussion. Okay, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from January 25?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes. So next up is the commission recruitment update.
Yeah, so we did have our interviews, 2 weeks ago, I think, is it? Yeah. And we had one applicant for UCAMC. I think it went well. And then at the March 20th regular meeting, City Council will name new appointees. And then your staff will be notified first. Or after that.
So if council approves that candidate, we'll end up having a new member in April meeting.
No, they'll be sworn in the regular May UCAMC meeting.
Got it.
So I just haven't included them in the special meeting in April.
Got it. Thank you.
Do we have any, who was it? So, the gentleman's name is Dana Anderson. He's just interested in getting involved in the community. So it's that large seats and, see if council wants to just, appoint him, or sometimes council likes to make sure that they have more than one candidate to consider, or just somebody to bounce off, so they might decide they want to reopen to at least have someone to compare. Sure. Any connection to that? Not a strong connection, other than it was a CU student way back in the day, and yeah. And in the interview, yeah, it went well, spoke to a lot of the stuff that we talked about. I do have a friendship with this person, so there is a connection.
On a complete unknown.
Correct.
Who's going off?
That is a good question. Do we have?
Oh, Andrew. Retired.
Did you know?
Congratulations. Big shoes to fill. So we'll have to get you and Dave together if that's.
So will that mean that Andrew then cycles off in the May meeting?
That is correct. So the May meeting, if Dana is appointed, then we'll still invite you to come join us at the very beginning. And so say their farewells and then, yeah. It's Dana's sworn in.
Is it Dana or Dan?
Dane, D-A-N-E.
Dane
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
I see another procedural item here. You were asking individuals for this information on the way in, but I want to give you an opportunity to speak to this point.
Yeah, so just moving forward, I will be tracking all the commissioners' volunteer hours at each meetings for the previous 2 months. This is any work that you've done outside the regular meetings. For example, we'll tell goes up and down on the Hill and talks to the business owners. So we count that as volunteer work. And we're just trying to capture all the work that commissioners do for the city, and then there's an annual report that gets sent out. So I'll just be doing that at every meeting to try to not make you often think about it at the end of the year. Kind of thing. Yep, and it doesn't have to be on the agenda or anything. I'll check it at the meetings.
Questions really on that point?
Well, yeah, just, I mean, sometimes I'm not, I guess it's in, I am involved in a lot of things and sometimes I like bring UCAMC like my hat, but I'm not out there representing, like I'm a UCAMC member representing this board, cause I think that's tricky if without being kind of authorized to represent the board. So can we talk a little bit more about what that might look like? The volunteer hours, I think, because I think yours is very clear, like what you're doing, but is there? Feels like there could be murkiness, and I don't, you always have to be careful when you're speaking or talking, like, I'm not here representing this, you know, I'm on the chamber board, all these other things, but.
So do I have to say that? I'm representing you, FAMC, I'm just talking to
So
people in general.
this is part of a citywide, so all volunteers for the city, it's not an exact science. And Ellie's just been attempting to be a little bit more precise, because typically what we've done is just estimated the number of meetings and how long the meetings were. And then, yes, you know, how long did it take you to read the packet? So
For this,
for this, yeah, for your commissioner. And then it rolls up into all the boards and commissions of the city, anybody who's volunteering, on behalf of the city as part of an overall citywide volunteer report. So certain, first doesn't need to be exact. And then, and it's pretty open, as if you were spending time in thinking about preparing for a meeting, so you weren't trying to be a more effective commissioner. So going around, walking around to businesses, certainly follow that. Something you wouldn't be doing if you weren't a commissioner, could be. And then if you, and again, it doesn't have to be precise, it's not gonna be like, you know, you're not gonna get something
Audited.
or the IR, exactly, exactly, individually audited, it's just trying to get a comprehensive idea of volunteers and what's happening in something.
It'd be helpful to know that, like, the use of that information is.
Yeah, and it's, maybe Ellie can speak to it.
Yeah, I think, so I can send you all, I think we have a webpage up for the 2024 report, but there's a report that, there's a volunteer cooperative team in the city, and they made this massive report and showed the community, like, this is all the work that the volunteers have done for the city. And that includes metrics and stories and photographs, things like that.
And also, I guess, I assume somebody who might be applying for the board can see then how many hours they're going to contribute.
Exactly.
So I would think that if we're like, you know, you're mentioning all this work that you do that has overlap. Some level of just educating yourself how to get. It's helpful to throw that number in. So, yeah.
And again, we haven't necessarily done a formal, check in every meeting, in the past. This is something we've been reporting on for as long as I remember. We just haven't been keeping a super accurate accounting of volunteering. So, Ellie, I would be curious if, this is an approach that other boards and commissions are using on, tracking hours.
Okay.
Or if it's something that is just being implemented for our commissions. So
Yeah, I can look. I haven't, I mean, I'm the one who thought this up, so I can check. Yeah.
Well, and then just one, maybe the last one, I have this to hold at this point. But if you're a chair or vice chair, they clearly are spending more time than usually. And I wonder if there's any, is there any designation of reporting for that? And Ellen, okay.
I think it all rolls up into just one big fat
pot.
number. Yeah.
All right, let's make a stew out of it. All right, anything else around the tracking of volunteer hours? All right, we'll move on to the public participation section of our agenda. Is there any member of the public here who would like to speak to the commission?
You can raise your hand now on Zoom if you'd like to speak. Not seeing anybody raise their hand.
Okay. Not seeing anyone, so we move to consent agenda portion of our agenda. Is there anything in the consent agenda that commissioners wanted to bring up and ask questions about or discuss? couple of them.
No, it's okay. I know it. Sure, it's fine.
Sure, it's fine. I'm gonna move on then to the next section of the agenda, which is the Hill Board folder update. Jake indicated that he was not going to be here today. Did he have any particular update?
He did not send me anything, though. He just, wanted to leave the space time open for y'all to bring up, items for him to get back to you on, and I can.
I would like to have him take, if he can get back to me about what the status of Chicken on the Hill is, the license situation is. I would appreciate it. Anything else for Jake?
I guess it's more of just general updates on Limelight, progress and when it's gonna be, we're still on schedule. Is it-
As far as I know.
I don't have an official anything, but I was hanging out with were you there too? I know Trent, you were with the GM for the Limelight.
Yeah, with Umberto. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, not that was Moxie, but yes, with Lance Thompson and then the other group.
At the business, the Hill Business meetup. And she indicated that they're on time to open in August. They have started taking reservations for football weekends at this point. But other than that, they're kind of looking at soft opening sometime mid-August. Someone asked if they were going to be available for move-in, and the answer was that they unequivocally no. That is not on the table at this time. So that's what we heard a few weeks ago. For the whole business. All right, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item, matters from staff. Looks like Mr. Chinaski's got us a big fat update here.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm actually on the cutting room floor of this presentation, so I'm gonna hand it directly to Riga.
Oh.
Thanks, Matt. I'll kick things off and then I'm gonna hand it to Amanda, who is on Zoom. She's with our consultant team, Progressive Urban Management Associates, based out of Denver, also known as Puma. So she's joining us today to give an update on the analysis project, which is a study of our existing general improvement districts and recommended actions on how these improvement districts should evolve in the near term to address some of the challenges that we're seeing today. Just to give a bit of an update, so far, Puma has been gathering data on existing conditions within our districts, really leveraging past plans, past studies and engagements that have already been conducted, and creating district profiles for each district to really capture the state of each district today. And so today we'll present some opportunities, which I would say are broad potential scenarios based off the data they've collected thus far. And then on April 8th, we're going to have a joint special commission meeting in which Puma will present more concrete recommendations after spending some time analyzing those potential scenarios. And then last thing, a key upcoming date, April 24th, is the city council study session where we will be presenting this recommendation on Wednesday. So that's the update. Amanda, I'm going to hand it off to you, and I think I'm sharing my screen, right? I'll kind of try and push it through.
Yeah, thank you, Regan.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for having me at this meeting today. As Regan mentioned, I'm here to just give you a brief overview of what we've been up to since we last convened this group. So I think we can hop right ahead to the next slide here. So here's just an overview of what I'll cover today. I'll just speak a little bit to the existing conditions analysis we've done, those district profiles that Regan mentioned. I'll speak to some priorities that emerged in our review of previous planning efforts, as well as the conversations we've had with some stakeholder groups, including you all and internal and external stakeholder kickoff meetings that we had. I'll speak to some challenges that we've identified for the Hill District, and then I'll speak to some opportunities. As Regan mentioned, these are very preliminary opportunities, and we'll really dig into concrete recommendations during that April special session with you all. Next slide, please. As Regan mentioned, we developed district profiles for each of the GIDs we're looking at. That included looking at background information. So we looked at the history of the district and why it was formed, its original purpose, the governance structure of each district, and then the existing assessment methodology. We also looked at some key commercial market indicators, which were pretty interesting. So we looked at various characteristics of retail, office, multifamily housing in the Hill District. We also looked at sales tax revenue data, and then property value data as well, which was very informative. We looked at sources and uses of fund for the GID from 2019 as a baseline prior to COVID through 2025 to date. And then we looked at past planning efforts, including some shorter term and longer term anticipated projects that were recommended within those planning efforts. And then we also looked at key partnerships, which will be important, particularly to the Hill moving forward. Next slide, please. So here are the priorities we determined, again, looking through previous planning efforts and talking with key stakeholders. We heard a lot about streetscape and public realm improvements. In particular, lighting and drainage emerged as some key priorities. And those streetscape and public realm improvements were very related to the third bullet there, which is connectivity to downtown and what that experience is like for pedestrians and cyclists and vehicles as well. We heard a lot about safety and making sure the Hill feels safe for students, for visitors, just ensuring that it feels like a safe and welcoming place. We also heard that there's a desire, particularly from the surrounding neighborhoods, for the Hill to be more than just a destination for undergraduate students. So really welcoming in all members of the community in addition to students. And then on a related note, reintegration with the surrounding neighborhoods and really serving the communities that surround the Hill. We did hear that there's been fairly high business turnover and economic stagnation, particularly recently. And then we heard that there is potential for the redevelopment of the 14th Street lot moving forward. Next slide, please. Some of the challenges that we've identified so far for the GID on the Hill is that the city is heavily subsidizing current investments and services, and that likely isn't sustainable in the long term. So we identified that as a challenge. As I mentioned, there are several key priorities, and those priorities are fairly clear between stakeholder engagement that we've done and then also previous planning efforts. However, the GID currently is not generating enough revenue to implement those priorities that the community would like to see. And then we also flagged that property tax assessment and revenue from district assets cannot sufficiently cover costs both currently and likely moving forward, just given the real estate dynamics that are currently in place. Next slide, please. And then finally, again, these are very preliminary opportunities. We'll continue fleshing these out over the next month or so. But we sorted these into two buckets. So we're looking at both near-term priorities and we're coining that as over the next 2 years, and then longer-term opportunities that are looking beyond the next 2 years. So as far as near-term opportunities, we actually flagged with the newly formed Tourism Improvement District. There's a potential for a revenue share there, given the hotels that are now on the Hill and anticipated coming online on the Hill. We flagged that as a big opportunity in the near term. We're also taking a look at some city administrative support alternatives, and rebalancing of revenues and general fund contribution. So those are the near-term priority opportunities. And then longer term, we have heard a lot about the potential to create a downtown development authority that encompasses both downtown and the Hill and really serves as a connector between the two districts. We also flagged site-specific urban renewal for that 14th Street lot as a longer-term opportunity. There's potential for an on-street and general fund parking lot revenue share. Again, a longer-term opportunity. And then really leveraging and building on the existing partnerships that the Hill has with other organizations. So the Downtown Boulder Partnership, CU, the Hill Boulder, and other key partners. So those, again, preliminary opportunities we're going to work on refining over the next month. And I think the next slide is just pausing to see if anyone has any questions or comments.
I have one. I don't know if you guys hear me.
Absolutely.
Cool. On the first slide, kind of the priorities. The thing that felt, and maybe it's included in that first, that streetscape and public realm improvements, or in the connectivity to downtown. I mean, it might fit in a lot of these places, but to specifically spell out that wayfinding and placemaking are short-term opportunities that don't cost a ton of money, but that's a priority. It feels like it's missing from this list that we talked about a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great feedback. Thank you.
And then one question, in the tourism improvement district, is the Limelight included in that? It should be, right? Because it's on rooms, not on property.
This,
Okay.
Sorry to say that.
is there a way to, this may have been covered in the last meeting, but a brief explanation of what a tourism improvement district is?
Oh, and might be making it up a little bit, but it is an additional fee on room reservations, so it's paid for through guests at hotels. It's being run by Visit Boulder, so it is a direct funding mechanism for the Convention Visitors Bureau to then work with the folks who are paying those additional fees to provide services and programs that are geared toward visitors. So it's really associated with currently all hotels in Boulder did not include Airbnbs, which is an option, but that required a lot of coordination with property owners who are operating Airbnbs and getting them for them to agree that they have be attached to there. So not this time, but that's another opportunity. In this district.
Based on that Airbnb issue, basically, the cross my fingers and hope on the Sundance issue, but I think the courts of the Airbnb route is back. Is there some sort of revisiting of the Airbnb plan in like a year or two?
So I don't want to speak for Shirley Hoffman at Visit Boulder, but I do know that that's on the list. They wanted to make sure they got at least this first step that they knew they could do because of the relationships that they have with hotels around town. And then a future step would be the door is there to be open. It did require approval from city council to authorize the creation of the district, and it left the door open for Airbnbs to.
Does this mean like the district will have an operating board and like there'll be a new board form that decides? How does the funding get decided, and then how does revenue sharing, how do we have a seat at that table in revenue?
So it's a great question. I'm not sure the government's forming governments or accountability right now. I suspect it's just through their regular Visit Boulder board, but
They have a board.
there is,
Okay.
yes, there is a board of Visit Boulder. And so I suspect it's just new funding revenue for decisions that they make there. And so it would require Charlene and her board to see opportunity and I know that they're certainly very much focused on the success of the conference center and the Hill. So, if that wasn't the case, then we'd have a bigger mountain to climb forming the partnership. But, right now we're in a good space there. What we want to do, that's Regan, did you have anything?
I want to add something that's separate from the tourism district, which is on the opportunity slide. So something we've discussed with Puma that's sort of captured, but not explicit in the last bullet point here. Leverage existing partnerships is the potential for the downtown Boulder bid to expand to the Hill, which would be managed by TDP. So again, not really explicit on the screen, but that is captured, leveraging existing partnerships.
So I guess I have a lot of questions about the improvement district for the tourism, but it's probably not where the money is being collected doesn't mean it needs to be spent in that same area. It's a citywide tax and it'll be decided by the board where it goes. And so is UJID having a seat at that table at some point be valuable? Or is that a different group within the city that would be
So-
advocating for the Hill?
Yeah,
And those funding to be used for placemaking, to be used for other things that events.
So
That we do.
more to learn from Charlene is it is a separate, it's like the business improvement district is a quasi municipal entity, but the city's actually not very closely affiliated with. This current new funding mechanism is very simple. So there certainly is an opportunity for huge interests to be communicated to the tourism improvement district and seeing where there could be some alignment. I do know that you're thinking about things of how do we fund the shuttle services or other types of moving people around. There's a lot of things that are in our priorities that do align really well with what Charlene's been talking about with the folks who are paying into that new district. So whether or not, with the appropriate collaboration, whether it's presence of UJID or commissioners, yet to be determined. But we'll certainly, we want to make sure we're highlighting it because it isn't decided yet exactly how that money is going to be spent. And so we want to make sure that the Hills needs are represented as decisions are made on that.
Cause I heard it's a lot of money. It's gonna be a lot.
It's 2%, I believe, of room nights, right? Of the fee.
I'm not sure. Amanda, do you know more about the district?
I do not, since that hasn't been part of our analysis today, but we can definitely make sure we've got some more information about that going into our discussion in April. I think between us and the city team, we can do some digging and get you all some more clear answers on that.
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm pretty sure it's
Charlie?
2%, just for,
I've heard it's a significant amount of money that is allowing CBP to be more independently run. I mean, they've kind of been with the chamber. Maybe, I don't know if Charlie would want to come to one of our meetings sometime or one of our staff, that might be. Because there is a lot of alignment and it's not just UJID, I said UJID, but I meant UCAMC because UJID might actually change into a DDA. If, based on some of the recommendations here, but it just certainly seems like just having, I don't know, there seems a lot of alignment and those two hotels will be generating a ton of revenue.
I was gonna request that staff pay attention to this particular issue and make sure to bring it back to the commission. So that we have those opportunities, before decisions are made.
Yeah.
Or we can be a part of that decision-making process. Very much would love to have the builder here as a guest in the commission. To hear about the plans, but then importantly, what are we hearing in terms of governance around that? Really important for us to be paying attention to.
How did this even get approved? What was the authority? City council just
Did it?
passed a resolution and then just did it?
Yep.
that is able to tax all these?
So it's much like, GID or, a bid, where if more than half of the folks who are going to be taxed, participate in the special election to end that district, then, it doesn't fall. So council enables it, creates it, then there is, and that's where I'm not clear yet on where the opportunity for the folks who are paying in to decline.
Well, it's the visitors that are paying in, not the hotels, so that would be a part. So all the hotels are on board, because they're not, I mean, it's impacting their
Well,
pricing, but
exactly.
it's not like it's an extra tax. For the hotels, it's a visitor tax.
Exactly.
On a room, it's room.
But with Airbnb, then, I'm just trying to get through like all this. Could they, if you wrap them in, then they could torpedo it if there's more than 50% of somebody that owns it.
Correct, and that's where, so Charlene went to each hotel around the city, to make sure that they were in support of the proposal before. Working with city council and the city manager's office to, make this happen. Community Vitality is, aware of it, but we are not really closely involved in it.
Did any hotels opt out, or were there any?
I don't know, so, yeah, it's
All inclusive.
it's all inclusive. If too many hotels said that they weren't interested, then it wouldn't have been pursued at all. So not all hotels were interested, but not enough of them said no for it to
And they can't later come back because more money is being spent on the hill and say, we changed our mind, we want to blow this up. Or
they can, yeah, so it's important, so for Charlene to make sure that she's being really thoughtful about how those funds are being used and dispersed, because if the hotels turn out feeling like their needs are being adequately represented, then they have the ability to pursue.
I have one follow-up question. That's just on the bullet. It's the last slide or the second to last slide. Yeah, there we go. What is the rebalancing of revenues and GF contribution? What is that? Can you tell me more about that?
So Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but that might speak to a potential change in the mill levy, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, Regan.
What would that involve?
Does that also include the debrucing?
And it could include possibility of purchasing.
Some other elements are, the general fund contribution to each of our GIDs has largely historically been tied to the on-street parking revenue that's being generated within the district. So those numbers currently do not exactly match right now. The on-street parking revenue occurring in the Hill area exceeds the amount of general fund transfer into the district. So something for council's consideration and you all consideration.
Contribution exceeds our revenues exceed.
And that doesn't include citation revenue, but we don't even go there. So
You say that a different way. Not the citation, so the revenues that the parking brings, does that go into the general fund, and then the general fund returns money back to our fund, but which is less than what generated?
correct.
And is that happening in the other?
There's actually no general fund transfer in Boulder Junction into the district, so all the on-street parking revenue in Boulder Junction
General fund.
goes to general fund. And in the downtown, there is a general fund transfer, but it is not, does not. The amount coming back into the district. It doesn't mean that the city's not spending general fund dollars in those areas. And it just takes the work of the community vitality team to say, hey, we need some general fund investment in these areas, and our justification is, that we aren't just doing a straight transfer into the fund. So let's use a general fund for instance, the Hill Streetscape improvements. That's was part of the argument of getting some general fund dollars, because typically transportation mobility has a dedicated fund. and they prioritize their capital projects list for anything related to transportation in the right of way. And the medians on the hill were not the top priority project for them. Since we were able to get the general fund dollars and use that argument to get those monies allocated, now it's a top priority project.
It would be good to rebalance that, because it makes the way the budget runs, makes it look like the whole is being subsidized. Right? I mean, if, I'm wondering if the Hill actually realized how to revenue for parking, what does that look like in terms of the balance sheet?
But that's city parking versus the only parking that usually makes is 14th Street, right? Correct. Okay. So like all the commuter parking permits, all the street parking, all of that goes straight to the city, right? Into the general fund,
Well, on-street parking.
on street.
Goes to, yeah, goes to-
All right. I had a question. Oh, Trent, I saw your hand actually up earlier, and I'm not sure if you still have a question.
Oh, no, it was more of a comment. I was just going to say last time I talked to Charlene, and she came, if you guys remember, I don't know if everybody was there, but last year and sort of gave an overview of Visit Boulder's interest in University Hill and the district, but she's very concerned, obviously, with the experience of sort of the organizers of conferences and all of that they want to come here and that they want to come back. So, at least in what she's told us in the past, that she is very interested in the Hill. I don't know, maybe somebody knows this, I don't know if it matters, but if any of that, that room tax or whatever it's called, room contribution is being earmarked for the Sundance bid. I have no idea, but I don't know if those are kind of hand in hand. But again, regardless, there should be a pretty good amount of money available there. And the other thing that she did offer to the Hill was to sort of take over the marketing and website of the Hill itself. I know that we've had, or the Hill Business Association has had a hard time funding that and running that. And so that might be another thing that we want to talk to her about if we do want to get her to come in and give us an update on everything going on in her world.
A good call.
So yeah, we should certainly reach out to Charlene and see if she's in a spot where she could.
Make time for a little old us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know she's busy, but it's exciting.
All right. Any other questions about this? Is that the entirety of this presentation?
Yes, that's where we're at with the work right now, with a lot of lifting to do between now. Welcome as much feedback as we'd like today, as we're preparing more of the detailed recommendations, which we'll bring to the joint commissions meeting in April in advance of our study session with council.
Yeah, Puma will be here in person on April 8th, so if you are able to attend in person, I think that'll be really an opportunity to have an engaging conversation with them on more concrete recommendations.
Everyone got that invite today, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
If I could just add, we're hoping for a quorum. Actually, we need a quorum that day because from each commission, yeah. The idea being based on those recommendations and the conversation we have, if you want to have your voice included in what we present to council, we make a motion.
Yeah, I'll be there too, so we just need one more for quorum. Does anyone have any concerns with that date at this point? So I think we'll have one.
Excellent.
All right. Anything else before I turn Amanda loose here, because she's hanging out there in Cyberland. Really appreciate this work. Looking forward to that conversation on the 8th.
Yeah, thank you all so much for having me and hopefully see most, if not all of you on the 8th.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's exciting. I guess we are now at the matters from commissioners. section of our agenda, the camps bi-monthly recap, check-in. Have on February 6th. Something happened on February 6th. Do I remember this? I don't even remember. Was I the only one there? Or was I not there? Oh, it was the two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that there? I'm just kidding.
I know that you were not there.
That's just testing. I don't know if I was there.
I think we went over some stuff, that now we're talking about again, but I don't think there was anything super substantive.
I think the biggest development from the last time we talked is probably, we've been working on the council priority related to commercial area connections. But we have partnered with Transportation Mobility on closing some missing sidewalk links on 11th Street between Arapahoe and University. So this is part of a critical pedestrian corridor that a number of years ago, the city installed pedestrian scale lighting along this corridor, on the west side of Broadway. And so there are a couple segments of 11 that don't have sidewalks on the side. So we have allocated some capital improvement dollars that we had for hill revitalization. These are not huge in dollars. It was a long existing capital fund that had some monies in it. So we are partnering and splitting the cost for those sidewalk improvements. So it's one small thing, but it's another thing out of the list of we've been trying to chop away at the different opportunities to improve various connections. Other than that, I think it was probably just updates on where we're at with this work. And all the stuff you're already aware of what we've got coming later this year when it comes to murals and crosswalk treatments and median improvements and all this other work with transportation.
Appreciate that.
I didn't put the notes. The only other thing was what you brought up, the enforcement.
Oh, yeah. Horseman on the Hill seems to be up. Since November.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So I did follow up with the police department. It does seem that there was a police officer who was maybe being a little bit zealous, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Overzealous in the interpretation of occupancy rules. So the PD has circled back with the fire chief to make sure that they are using the same number for properties on the hill. So that there is no longer a discrepancy. So we've not been enforcing that since then. And you're getting the guidance from the fire marshal.
I really appreciate that. From talking to businesses on the hill, there was a couple of them who had been singled out and they were being told that their occupancy was 20% lower than the fire marshal. And so that was becoming, they were literally every night having an argument with the police over this. So
Hopefully that is.
I really appreciate it.
I have
So, like,
one, oh, sorry.
Occupancy? Is that, you meant like the number of people inside a restaurant at one time? Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
the max occupancy number that you see hanging up.
Yeah,
They're saying that the police officer is saying it's 20% less.
but it looks like it is sorted out and we're all on the same page. So that's great. Hey, Trent, I see your hand.
Yep, just following up on that, and thank you very much, Chris, for that info. That the other thing, and it was really interesting at that happy hour, the Hill happy hour that we were at. And I don't know exactly the best way to approach this one. The occupancy thing was a big one, but the other one is the pizza pie guys and that block of College between 13th and Broadway. They've been setting up basically the police have been setting up a sting on the sidewalk for underage kids drinking. Pizza Pie doesn't sell alcohol, but he said that all the kids avoid that block now. So nobody will go in and they make all their money on pizza between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. or whatever their hours are. And they said that it's a really significant problem for them in that, the customers they depend upon to keep their business open are completely avoiding that block on Friday and Saturday nights and Thursdays when, that's, where they make their money. So I just wanted to bring that up too, that, I don't know if we have a real mechanism for these types of issues, but they were very, very vocal at that happy hour. And I don't think Jake was still there. I'm not sure when we were talking that through, Ted, but I think that's something that if we could find a path for these kinds of complaints, it would be really helpful for the businesses up there, because this is the kind of stuff that just happens off the cuff and causes huge issues, and then they have no idea where to turn.
Yes,
What are the police actually doing? Like, how can they tell if somebody's underage and drinking? I mean, are they just looking for somebody carrying, or they're not breathalyzing? You can't do that without permission.
It's a combination of things. I think if you're visibly intoxicated, I don't know. All I know is that's what they're doing. I mean, they stopped, my son lives on 13th and College. He's of age. But he got stopped too. And he wasn't carrying anything. He wasn't doing anything. They were checking for, I don't know what they're doing, but if you're talking about overzealous code enforcement in occupancy, there may be some overzealous other things going on. I don't know. I would love to get the real, get the pizza pie guys in front of whomever to bring this up, but I do know that block in particular, the kids definitely avoid it, because I think there's some stuff that's going on that maybe isn't totally, the way it probably should be to make sure a commercial district is functioning at its highest level.
So I've spoken to both the owner of Pizza Pie as well as Chicken on the Hill in the last 30 days. I provided some of the information that Ellie provided around who to contact in the city if you're having issues, if you're having problems, how to sort it out. And I've been up there twice after 9 p.m., which is something I would suggest all commissioners try to do on the Hill at least once.
Volunteer time.
It counted. I definitely reported it to Ellie, and I saw exactly what they're talking about on both occasions. 3 cops dressed, with their vests on, standing, right there next to the corner on one occasion, and then further down on College, and essentially looking intimidating. I'll just say, like, I was intimidated. It's like, oh my gosh, there's some cops right there. And I didn't see them actually shaking anyone down, but the intent is clear. I mean, they're there to kind of put a chill in the air. Don't try anything. So there's that.
There's like a double-edged sword there, right? Because then there's the complaint that hotel folks are not feeling safe. Exactly. Walking the Hill, there is a mess. There's a large segment of unhoused hanging out in front of the Fox that people have complained about, and so that presumably also deters that. And so, if a younger person, it's within their right to refuse to talk to a police officer, and as long as they're educated, I don't understand how this should be chilling people from walking down the block unless you're carrying a weapon or doing something that the police can actually arrest you for.
Yeah. Good question. I think that there's probably some form of a community meeting in our future to try to address some of this, because what you just said about making people feel safe, and then the reciprocal, which is having people feel unsafe because of safety measures, right, effectively, I think is really a big part of this. I will say, I mean, if you go up to the Hill after like 10 o'clock on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, it's like a big party up there. Even when it's 0 degrees outside, there's a lot of people waiting to get inside these establishments where the 20% occupancy thing is affecting people being able to come in. So they're stanchioning them out front and waiting in line to get into these places, which effectively creates a party atmosphere on the street. I could see being of a certain age and having that feel intimidating, to have that feel unsafe. So I think there's complicated factors here. What I saw were some police officers who were basically making the presence. They were just right there going, do not try anything in front of us, because we will take you down, right? Which is probably warranted with those kinds of crowds. But at the same time, certain businesses feel like their business has gone down as a result. Because they're camped out right there, right near their business.
Right, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, right, that we had people with automatic weapons.
Sure.
And that's like, there's that counter.
Yeah.
So you're right, it's a balance. It's like we need a community policing kind of meeting to figure out how to strike the right balance.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if they were patrolling instead of posted up and intimidating. And again, I use that word very carefully. I don't, I don't know if that's necessarily what they were doing, but the way people are, if that's happening, they will avoid it. And, my son will get a Snapchat or something just saying, hey, cops in front of Pizza Pie. And it's just, again, he's 21, he can do whatever he wants, but even his friends avoid it and they're not doing anything wrong. It's just, they don't want to be dealing with it. And so, and it's not like that's happening at Sundown Saloon and at Rosetta Hall and Spotted James and all the places downtown. None of that same sort of thing is happening. And there's all kinds of people down there. So again, it's just sort of singled out. I totally agree that we want the patrolling and we want the policing 100%. And especially after the police annex was closed due to, lack of funds, that really concerned me. But again, if people are worried about walking up from the Moxie, well, they're never going to get near College Avenue. They're not going to get nearly that far. So if those same police officers were patrolling instead of just standing, that would probably be a much better situation for the entire hill. But if they are really singling out kids and trying to basically, as Ted said, shake them down, which is basically what's happening, then I think that is not a positive thing for, I know it's not a positive thing, with what the business owners have said. So again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's definitely happening and it's definitely affecting hill businesses that are already really having a hard time surviving.
Well, I got a question on that. So, Chicken on the Hill right now, that's their liquor license suspended. Now, I know that they've had other issues with that previously for underage drinking. So is this a result because of that? I mean, I would think that's why we would have more presence on the hill right now, because I don't see a lot of crazy danger or anything since the ambassador program kind of kicked in. I would think that it would have something to do with underage drinking or something like that and being a problem. So
I don't want to speculate, but we do have, the police department does a public safety update every other downtown management commission meeting. And usually that is the chief of police or the deputy chief that comes and talks with that commission on a fairly regular basis. We would be happy to invite them to come to a public safety update. Sure. Maybe.
I think that would be an excellent idea. My own experience up there was interesting because what I saw was a complicated situation. It does not feel like one that, I don't want to tell the police how to do their job. At the same time, it felt really strange. They were just standing like in front of a particular business. Maybe it just happened to be the 2 times I was up there too. I don't know. And we want it to feel like a safe place. We really want them to be in a place that we're, the commission managing. But at the same time, like, is it patrolling? Are there other strategies that can feel like that would set a chilling effect for certain businesses like that?
Is you're talking about the downtown boulder partnership, the ones we go to or once in village?
No, the downtown management association.
Because they show up at PDP as well. That's a really helpful, they give stats on what's happening in that district, the amount of, and then the other interesting thing is there's a rapport that develops between the shop owners and sort of the officer in charge of that area, that would allow direct communication about what you're seeing with them, and then they may have an explanation, or they may not and absorb it. And so I think there are those.
Yeah, and we can certainly recommend to Jake that he reach out and invites PD to future business.
I think that might be one of the more productive conversations that can happen around this, is to have that happen. I would love to hear them here, of course, but that particular one could be really beneficial for all parties involved.
Maybe an invite to the next sort of Hill happy hour or what, whatever the monthly or bi-monthly Hill business owner meeting that Jake puts together. I think that'd be great to do it there.
Exactly.
Because you got to hear it right from the business owners' mouths, right?
Yeah,
We will certainly make that suggestion to Jake.
thank you, Chris. That's a great suggestion.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, that came up in the bi-monthly. I was there, yes. Thank you for that. I appreciate that reminder. All right, so anything else on that? Great. Moving on to the UCAMC 2025 priorities language. This was something, our last meeting was sort of like two people sick on Zoom and me in the room with staff. And we, for half a second, tried to provide more clarity to our final, we added a priority, near and long-term fiscal resiliency in UGID. We didn't get very far. And so this went into an email kind of situation where we should email our suggestions in. This is where we arrived. The current revenue for UGID is limited and unsustainable without general fund money provided by the city to shore up its finances. UGID will run into deficit just through basic year-over-year maintenance. To meet the goals of generally improving, transforming, and sustaining the district, a sustainable financial solution must be met.
I like it.
All right, so I'm going to ask for a motion to approve this language to describe the fourth priority for the commission for this UCAMC, I should say, for 2025. Do I hear a motion?
Moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. So moved. I'm gonna second that, but then I'm gonna ask for discussion, Andrew.
I just had a question, which does, I assume it doesn't, but is there any importance in the ordering of these priorities? Are they all important?
That's a good question. We've talked about this in years past, like if you put something first, just kind of say, pay more attention to it. Chris, what are your opinions about that?
We don't currently treat them as one priority.
I think that's what we rely on too, yeah. All right.
You put it in bigger font. does it?
Can we have a highlighter? Any other discussion about this point or the other priorities? The motion on the table is to approve this language associated with Article 4.
Seconded.
I second.
Oh, you seconded,
Yeah.
sorry.
All right, I'm gonna call for a vote.
Technically, in Robert's rules, the chair just facilitates and the rest of the commission.
Oh,
That's the
you're
rule that's
right.
in the second. You're the tiebreaker.
You seconded. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Sorry. It's been a long time since voice state. All right, I'm gonna call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the language?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously. Thank you, Trent. Passes.
Thank you, Ted, for working on that,
Yeah,
getting us to
great
the
work.
finish line.
It took a lot longer than it really should have, but having said that, yeah, that's how those things go. Anything else the commissioners wanted to bring up at this point before we start talking about upcoming meetings and that sort of thing?
I just have one question.
Yeah, Trent.
I don't know if anybody has the answer, because I saw in the window of the Telagi's building that it's being turned into housing. Does anybody have?
What did you see in the window?
It's news to me.
Something saying, something apartments coming soon?
I don't think anyone in this room has heard that news.
I think if it's legal on the first floor, it's. It'd have to be on the second, yeah, and is it Tulagi splitting that on the second floor? Yeah, I thought it was.
Logis has a second floor. It's the yoga studio.
Core powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know the address, do you?
Yeah, it's whoa, ugh, no, 1129 13th. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. I only know that because I did some things at the Fox a long time ago and it was next door. I think it's 1127. Yeah,
Yeah, that is correct.
okay,
1113.
yeah.
That's an example of sort of losing an opportunity.
Yeah, it really is.
Especially that site.
Yeah, I was trying to do something there for 2 years, my brother and I, and it just nobody wanted to invest in the hill, so we didn't do it.
There's bill permits on it right now.
There's no permits?
There is.
Yeah.
Load them.
And maybe they'll do what they did at like Ados above. Maybe there's you know how they build apartments above that, so maybe that's what's happening. But also concerned because I believe Tulagi's is a historic building, and I think the sign and everything, I don't want that to go away because it's just part of, I mean, it was even in the last presentation, right? It's really cool hill nostalgia, which I hope is protected.
We can do some digging on the city side as well. It is the restriction on any new housing still exists. Unless it's 100% affordable, so unless this is a 100% affordable housing project, it's not going to make it very far, given current land use restrictions.
That's what it seemed like to me. I just couldn't figure out how they were doing it, but maybe they just put up a sign saying they were.
Available April 1st.
It's been known to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
My computer.
Just one other quick note, for anybody who hasn't been up there lately, Aviano Coffee opened at the Moxie, which is good, and then Mr. Oso is almost ready. So
You been into Aviano yet?
I have not. My brother was in there yesterday. He said it was great. I haven't had a chance to go. I'm feeling under the weather, which is why I'm not there with you guys right now. So
What's the restaurant that's opening? Is it?
Mr. Oso,
Is that a
which is
chain or is it?
it's a Denver-based kind of really, really good taco spot. Not like a Chipotle, something like that. It's like pretty high end. It's really good. They did some during the tailgates that we kind of helped put together. They did some catering there. But they're Denver-based, so they're local enough. And the space is beautiful. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's furnished now. The wallpaper's up. It's really, really, really cool. It's going to make a big difference in, the world up there. Which will be great.
You know, if this is just their second location, right? It's not like.
Yeah, I think so. That's why it's, when a chain is a very loose term.
I saw him in the airport.
Oh, do they have one in the airport?
Sure. Also, no, but it's like root down, like it's like that level. I mean, it's a not just a chain. It's a good Denver.
It's a really nice, yeah.
Really stay in business, has a following.
Yeah.
I had their
Between-
tacos at the grand opening. It's very good.
Yeah, they had great tacos, but between that, the Sink and Ion, it's and Ados, but there's some places for other people in Boulder to go now, which is pretty cool.
Wife and I were at Aon I know we're on the record here, so for Valentine's Day. And it was outstanding, and they were sold out for the night.
I couldn't get a reservation. I slept too long.
I had your reservation, and there was actually a couple that came with us, and they didn't know it was a fixed menu, and they couldn't eat something that was on the menu, so they left. I wish I would have known, Trent. I would have called you and said, you gotta get over here.
I was forced to go downtown. It's okay.
All right. Any other matters from commissioners? All right, a reminder that our bi-monthly check-in meeting is Tel and I coming up this next month.
So we're doing that and then followed by the other one, right?
We are on the same day. We have the check-in and then we have the Puma update at 4 p.m. that day. And then our next commission meeting will be on May 6th at 4 p.m. in this room. If there's nothing else.
One quick thing, and then I'll stop talking.
Okay, Trent.
Yeah,
Okay,
those invites, I still get all the invites for all of those bi-monthly or whatever they are. Is there a way that we could just get it when it's our turn?
I'll check. I thought I had it set up that way, but I'll double check.
Okay, yeah, mine, I seem to receive them for all of them, or if you just put in the meeting notes who is when, that, unless that's already there, I didn't see that, so that'd be great.
Make sure. Yeah.
And then real quick, April 8th. We should probably find a larger location. Unless you feel like we can,
Because we're here, right?
what's that?
It's an open here, right?
Right now it's scheduled for here, but if we have all, depending on how many other commissioners show up versus virtually. We might run more space, so stay tuned on location. We could, I mean, this space can be rearranged to hold 4 people. But so we might still make it, but we might have to change.
How many people?
Could be,
There's 20. I might have space. My building at 15th University, parking might be a challenge.
well, and it needs to be, you know, we'll need to advertise this in public meetings, we typically try to. You know, probably, if we move it, it'll be a municipal building, I would say. But so stay tuned. But it might be here, we might end up, depending on how we do.
All right, anything else? We had a lot of anything else today. That was fun. Thank you, Trent, for your virtual presentation. Appreciate that. And
Sure.
thank you, staff, for your work. And we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey Trent, it says that was Boss Lady Pizza there?
No, there's another slice place that's